Hey guys, welcome back to another PS2 Memories video. Here we are taking a look at a classic arcade racing game by the name of Outrun that was remade for the PlayStation 2 back in 2004. It is also volume number 13 and is part of the Sega Ages 2500 series that was only seen in Japan, although this game itself did get a release as part of the Sega Classics collection in Europe. It got an individual release in the Japanese region only. As part of the Sega Classics collection, there was a number of different games. There was Outrun, Space Harrier, Monaco GP, and a number of different games that were all put together in a similar package as part of a collection, but in the Japanese region all these games all got their own individual release. I remember having access to the Sega Classics collection myself back in the day, as I'm a big fan of the Sega arcade style of games. The first console I ever owned myself was a Sega Master System, and I loved that console, but I also grew up playing a lot of Sega games, and Outrun being one of them, and it was just a great way to re-experience a lot of old classics. But the one benefit in this collection, as with this game, is that a lot of the games on the disc itself were all remade using the up-to-date graphics at the time, which was back in 2004. So each of the games, especially the likes of Outrun, all got dramatic overhauls and were converted into 3D compared to their original 2D counterparts from back in the day. You had the likes of Outrun, even Space Harrier, you even had Golden Axe, all had a 3D makeover, and for the time it was a really cool feature and a great way to re-experience a lot of those older games but in a different format. So this was no exception, and this game does maintain the look and feel of the Outrun game of the original, even though there is a later game. I have done previous videos on the later version of it, Outrun 2006 Coast to Coast. Even though that game is graphically superior to this game, it still keeps the look and feel of the Outrun series. It really recaptures all those unique elements that made those games so memorable back in the day, and it was a great way to revisit those classics at that time. That was the one great thing about the PlayStation 2 console. Even with the earlier PlayStation 1, you got to have access to various collections of old school games, but it wasn't really until the PS2 where they started to add a few different elements, like in this case where they started to remaster games, because again, graphics engines and the visual appeal of games was starting to improve, so it was a great way to revisit old classics and bring them up to the modern era. So this was a really good step in that direction. Again, it got a further evolution like which I mentioned, which also even got a release on the likes of the PS3, and graphically that is a fantastic looking game. Even by today's standards it still holds out really well. This game for its time does look really good, especially for like an arcade style game, and even with the PS2, even though there is graphically better games on the PS2, this still does hold its own in its own way. But it's not about the graphics, it's how the game plays. Now when you compare this to the Outrun 2006 Coast to Coast, that game is easier pretty much to pick up and play. There is a little bit more of a unique learning curve with this game, but it won't take you long to really get to grips with it and get a look and feel of how the game plays. But you do have the ability to change, especially in this version of the game, the difficulty and the time setting, so that you can have a bit more freedom to play around and get used to the game. And like the previous Outrun game that was available in arcades back in the 80s, even on consoles like the Sega Mega Drive and so forth, you do have the ability to take different routes as you're racing, so depending at the end of each stage whether the route you take will lead you into a completely different area, and there's all different endings that relate to each of the areas that you decide to race through. So it's a good way to add a lot of replay value into the game so that you can get to unlock everything that the game has to offer. This is just another one of those unique classics that really should be looked into. Even if you don't get access or haven't played this version of the game in its standalone form, if you can get access to it in the Sega Classics collection, I do highly recommend that you play it, because it is a really good game. It's a really fun game just to pick up and play, even just for a short burst. You'll have a blast with it. It's so much fun. It recaptures the whole look, feel and vibe of the Outrun series down to a T, and it really is a good way to relive old classics. so I highly recommend you give it a go. And I'd love to know your thoughts on this game if you have played it already, and if so, what do you think of it? Be sure to share it down in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more of these style videos where I do explore a lot of these older classic games that were released on the PS2 in Japan and in other regions, then make sure to leave a like on the video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, and again hit that bell icon to be updated when future videos are released. And also feel free to check out a lot of the other videos on the channel where I do explore a lot of other unique and quirky games that were also released on the PS2. So make sure to go and check those videos out, and again I will see you all over in the next one.